This is GeoWill from That Brand Production Squared, and tonight I am going to be recording the pre-unboxing, well, it'll be a pre-unboxing and an unboxing video, but in either case, I'm going to be building a new system here in the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to start with the unboxing for what I'm going to be recording the unboxings and build with. If you may know, some of you that may have watched my previous build will know that I recorded it with this camera, a Contour Roam, and as I probably pointed out in that, or if I didn't I will now, the microphone on this camera doesn't actually work. It's a hardware defect, and they were offering to replace them for free, but I decided, why? I don't know, free stuff, who cares? No. I decided not to send it back in because I was going to be recording the walkthrough, well, I guess technically it was a walkthrough for building a computer. The build and the unboxing pretty soon after I got this, or maybe right after I got it, so, didn't want to have any downtime. Needed to build that computer anyway because, as soon as possible, because that computer that this one replaced, was done because my 4870X2 decided to kick the can, as it were, and had to get something to replace it with soon. So that's why I didn't send this back in. But for this, we're not going to be using this. So it's going to toss it over there in the box to be left in the pits of hell. For this one, we are using a different camera. It's still the same kind of like a sports camera, if you will, something like that, but it's a GoPro Hero 3 Plus Silver. Interesting little camera. Obviously it's not in the box. The box actually kind of partly mutilated when I opened it, so it won't be technically an unboxing, but I do have everything else that came with it here. This is actually part of the box. When you get it, this part is sitting on top of a more traditional paper box like this, and the camera's sitting locked in place inside of the housing on this bottom plate here inside of there. So I really like the idea of this. This is both for locking down and transport, and also just after you get the camera, open it. This also acts as a platform. It's got some sticky pads on the bottom, and you can stick it on stuff and it won't move very easily. Trying to figure out a way that we can get this shown off without causing too much craziness here. So like if I want to just put it on top of this thing, stick it on there, and it's not going anywhere, so you can see. The way the GoPro is mounted on stuff is you use the housing, this thing. Camera goes in here, and you lock it down with this clamp device here, and then you use this side to hook into your various things, so you go like this, and then you have these bits that hook into here like so. So lock, to kind of lock it in place, and you can move them around, whatnot. So let's talk about the housing itself. There's actually a different door on this thing when you first get it. It's over here, and that is the waterproof door. This one. So what makes this one different from the skeleton door is that this one has a it's holy, has a hole there. This one doesn't. With this door attached, you can use the GoPro 3. Hero Plus, however you want to put it, and up to 40 meters of water. I believe it's like 311 or something, or 133 feet. So it's usable to a pretty good depth. Stupidly enough, it took me a while to figure out how to unlock, to open this thing up. So what you do is you have to, well, to close it first, I guess, is you latch this part behind. There's a little raised section here. I don't know if you can see it in the video or not. It's a raised section right there. This clamp will catch onto that like so, and then you just push forward on this and it locks in place and won't open up. Just do the reverse to unlock it. And I spent the longest time trying to open it from the back side instead of the front, and when I figured out how it worked, I felt like an idiot. You can replace the door by just pulling it off. It does take a little bit of force, but you just essentially take it down to here like so, and then you just kind of have to work it. And you can replace the door. And same process, you just take it like this, pop it in. Again, takes a little bit of force. Then you can just, you know, put your camera back in here, lock it up, and you're good to go. I would suggest that whenever you change the housing or you take the camera in and out, you always clean off the lens area here, because the way you open this up, you're always going to probably have a finger or two here for leverage to work with this, so you're going to have fingerprints on this. Also, if you're going to take this underwater, they suggest you use Rain-X or something on the viewport so that water doesn't bead on it. So for the buttons, this is your power button, and I would turn it on, but right now the battery's dead. Up here it's also your menu cycling button, so you can do different settings. This viewport or screen here is literally your screen. This will tell you how much time you have left for recording, how much battery power, how many the particular media of the particular mode that you're on, and the mode that you're on also will allow you to go through the settings menus and whatnot. And this is your either picture or your start taking media button, and also the select button. If you only do it once really quickly, it'll be like a select. Hold it down to initiate like a picture or a video. And this button here turns on the wireless for the camera. It actually has a built-in wireless, I guess, transmitter, antenna, whatever. And when you turn this on, it will allow you to control some aspects of the camera through a wireless remote or an iPhone Android app. I'm not going to show either of those two because I don't have the remote, and my phone is partially dead. Needs to be charged, so can't show you the app either. So let's talk about the actual camera itself here and what's all on it. Oh, and well, we'll get to that later. So, you have several LEDs on this thing. You've got this one up here, the two over here on front, and then one on the back above the hero port. The hero port, this huge thing here, is for the LCD screen that you can, buy to attach to the back here. And I don't know why they don't include it for. I mean, you're buying, the GoPro Hero 3 Plus. It's, obviously geared to be made to be used with that, so they should, include it, if you ask me. This is where your battery goes. To open it, you just pull back on this little latch right here. That will pop open the battery compartment. And you can just take that off. And the battery is just a simple thing here. Don't be like me and think that this little tag is like something you have to take off of it. I got about halfway to taking this thing off and realized what it was for, which was taking the battery in and out. And so there's like, half of it was taken off, so it's like, tried to put it back together, didn't quite get it right straight, but nobody will notice. The orientation for the battery is you have to take the ports here, you see on the top of the battery here, and line them up with the prongs that are on the inside of the camera right there. Just pops right in. There is a little bit of a charge on the battery at first, but it won't last too long. Charging it, it's not too bad of a deal. It doesn't take too long. And you can charge it in any powered USB port. I charged this the other night on my PS3, and interestingly enough, it was allowed to do that. Had to do it because I was using my only front panel USB port that's open for charging something. I think it was my iPod Classic 3G thing. So the LEDs will have multiple purposes. The one on top and this one the bottom one will tell you, well, the bottom one tells you, it flashes like when you turn it on and stuff. It also tells you when it's charging, when it's red. This top one tells you that you are recording, and also uses this one as well for that. The upper one on the front is for the wireless, tells you that's activated, and I think this one on back is either for the hero port or it might be for wireless too, I'm not sure. There are a couple places that look like they're microphones here. You can't really see it too well though. And over here on the side. With the waterproof housing door, the amount of sound the mic's going to be able to capture is not very much. That's why they have the skeleton door, which will allow more sound into the housing, and so it'll pick up more audio. However, again, when you use this, obviously not waterproof. Also, they recommend that you use the waterproof door if you're going to be in environments where there's going to be a lot of sand, potentially water getting in there, or dust that can get inside the housing and cause problems. They also suggest it for environments where you're over 100 miles per hour with the wind. They suggest this door when you're inside or there's no real chance of getting water or sand or dust in the housing, and when you're under 100 mile per hour winds. I don't know when that kind of situation would be. Maybe you're sitting on the wing of an airplane or something while it's taking off. So I'm going to take this back off because I have no clue when I'd ever use this door, and it's not going to work for my purposes for what I'm going to use the camera for. Get this put on the right way. There we go. On the camera itself, there's also another little thing here. So on this side, this little cutout piece here, it's actually where all your ports are at. So you got your micro SD card port, your mini HDMI or micro HDMI port, and micro USB port. So you can connect this camera up to a HD TV or monitor and play videos off it directly. Or you can transfer them to your computer with the USB port. You also charge it with the USB port. And you got the micro SD in there. Since I got the starter kit, it comes with a 32 gig micro SD card, as well as the headband mount thing as well, which I'll show you here in just a second. This thing. It's actually pretty good construction. A lot higher quality than my Contour one. It's actually got some gel kind of wavy lines on the inside that allow it to grip whatever it's, grip your head so it doesn't move around too much. There's the same mounting system on the top for the camera. That's an important thing. You have to have it in the housing, because all the mounts use this system where you connect it in and then bolt it down. There's no kind of, ports or holes or threads on the camera itself like there are on the Contour. On the Contour on the bottom here, there's a threaded hole for putting it on a mount or a tripod directly. There's nothing like that for this. So it's just, you have to do it directly, or not directly, but you have to use the mount, the camera housing for that. I'm not sure if there is a tripod mount. It might be this one, I'm not sure. But you get a couple of mounts with the, just with the package. You get this thing. It's some sort of crazy angle-based mounting system. So the camera goes here, and I guess whatever you're connecting into goes into here. It's like a tripod thing or something. And then you can use this to kind of, get a weird angle on it. This one is for like attaching to maybe like a helmet or a surfboard or something. It's got an adhesive pad on the bottom from 3M, and there's actually two of these. This is actually what the bottom section of this is, and then this arm part's actually a different piece altogether, but I have as of yet not been able to disconnect them from each other. Probably can be done, but you get two of these pad things, then you get this, and this will fit onto that. And you also get this one. I'm not sure what it's really for. Obviously, it's like a clip kind of thing here with a soft pad, so it might be for like a belt or something. And then you just put the camera right in there. So with the camera, besides all that stuff, you get some manuals. This is a safety information guide, because we all know that using a digital camera is potentially hazardous to your health. It can cause cancer. You get some GoPro stickers, I guess, to, put on your forehead for advertising purposes. You also get another product safety guide. Wow, they gave you two? Is it the same information? So let's see. So this one looks like it's warrant. I don't know what it is. It is different information, but I'm not gonna even go through and figure out what it is. One of them's talking about I think it's talking like warranty stuff or things that could avoid it, and the other one's actual safety manual. Nobody needs those though. Obviously, you get the getting started with GoPro. I think it's just like a small little thing that tells you, you know, go to the website to update your camera and download the app, the software and stuff like that. Again, something anybody getting this camera would know to do already. Then you get a quick start guide. And I'd suggest you do this one instead of reading this one, because this manual is like 70 pages long. This kind of just gives you the basic information about what you need to know. Such as, you know, how to open the case, the camera housing without, you know, looking like an idiot. Also has a mention of the GoPro app and software as well. Then he has this book. I do call it a book because it's literally 70 pages long. It also has like a French or a Spanish version as well. Just, you know, has all the information about the camera in it. Talks about all the different settings, modes, and what you can change and whatnot. Though the instructions are not always very followable, if you can see that. The first time I looked at one of these pages, my brain shut down from overheating because there's just so much, you know, ridiculousness in terms of the amount of images used and the use of brackets and things. Just like too much information. So yeah, that's pretty much all that comes with the camera. In terms of how it works, it's pretty good actually. It can record 1080p at 60 frames a second. The file sizes are not too bad. Like 300 or so megabytes for about a minute at 1080p 60 frames. I did record some video earlier that I'll show you in the app, or rather the software, and pretty impressed with it so far. Although the battery life is not really too impressive. That's the only thing I really can find wrong with this thing at the moment. Batteries just, you know, even when it's not in use, the batteries seem to be drained for some reason. I charged this yesterday because I'm actually redoing this video, and was fully charged. I, you know, had it on for a little while, not for very long, but turned it off and went to go turn it on earlier, just about 10 minutes ago or so, before I started doing the video. And after about a couple seconds, it said that it was almost out of power. So I don't know. But also, you get this cable, micro USB cable that you can use for the camera. I'm gonna go ahead and plug that in now, and then we're gonna switch over to Bandicam so I can record the desktop as well, and then we'll continue with the video there. Alright, so let's go and go over the GoPro Studio, which is the software. Important point here is that for some reason, certain recording software just really screws this thing off. For specifically PlayClaw. If you have PlayClaw running in the background, or at least so far I haven't tried it with Fraps, but it seems like Bandicam, but PlayClaw will cause it to just freeze out. So I'm going to go to import games, or import files. It should load up just like normal, any other normal thing. Guess it up if I turned it on first. Alright, let's show up here. Yeah, there it is. A second. So yeah, just go to DCIM, then GoPro, and then you got the videos here. Let's go modified. This one, open. Let's go and play it. You won't be able to hear any...
you can see how messy my desk is right now. Got some cleaning to do.
audio, because I'm not recording the...
massive hard drives.
Not recording what the system... Well, I don't know if it will or not, but the Bandicam does not like recording my system for some reason. Yeah, just kind of showing how it works. This is at 1080p at 60 frames. So, that's basically what you have. Now, at this point, you can convert it. Let's move this out of the way. No, I want to move you. There we go. I'll move it up here. So, at this point, you can just, add it to the conversion list with this. You can change the directory that you want to save it to. Or you can come down here and do some advanced things like changing the source FPS and whatnot. You also can clip out pieces of the video to get only certain sections. Like, so we go here. Instead, we only want like this part right here. So now we only have this part of the video.
And you can see how messy my desk is right now.
That will be used for things. So if we go to edit, I haven't actually used everything here. Okay. Export. So let's see, that's interesting though. It doesn't include it over here. We'll re-add it. Ah, I see. So, okay, that makes sense, I guess. So, I guess what we have to do is we have to actually add the conversion. Trying to figure out, this should only do this bit here. Oh no, it did. That's right. Yeah, no, that is what it did. Yeah, there we go. 237 to 735. So convert. This camera can do 3D as well. Processing. Now, if I go to the directory that I'm saving this at, which is, I have no clue. Okay, here. So here's our file now in AVI, our AVI file. So 102 megabytes for that 5 seconds. If we go back to where the file is at, you kind of get a sense of the modified. So yeah, the entire size of the video for the entire thing is only 61.6 megabytes for that 20 seconds of video that we were looking at earlier. The converted version of that for 5 seconds is 102, so it gets very high quality on the conversion to AVI. After that, then you go to the next step, where you can kind of mess around with your clip. Although it's not doing the right thing. So I'm going to go import file. I'm going to go to R. Or no, where was it saving it to? I don't even know. Oh, on J, GoPro converted. Okay. So this is our 5-second clip. I'm going to open that in here instead of having that other thing. So I have this now. So, it's basically now your editor, so drag video. You can put the clips in, drag titles, probably stuff for transitions and effects and things. Framing controls. Zoom, you can zoom in on areas. Do different kinds of movements. Change, some things like that. Height zoom, I guess. Flip the image around. Got your normal video controls. Fade ins, fade outs, speed. Audio controls, change the audio. White balance. Change things up that way. Image controls, exposure, image settings to change things up. Then you have export, which allows you to then export it to a file or straight out to YouTube or something like that. So we gotta watch that video clip. I'm gonna say no.
And you can see how messy my desk is right now.
Really? That's interesting. Well, you can drop it into Vegas, so if we open up Vegas here, it will go into Vegas, so drop it in there, render it out. Now just go file, render as. Actually, wait, I gotta do the loop. I'm not sure if you have to do that or not, but I just do that to make sure it will do it. So I'm just gonna render this out quickly here. Then replay it.
And you can see how messy my desk is.
I can't see any, losses or anything like that.
And you can see how messy my desk is.
Quality.
And you can see how messy my desk is.
You can see my messy computer desk.
And you can see how messy my desk is.
Days now. So I haven't gotten the time to do it.
And you can see how
catch up on recording again. It's a pain in the ass. So the other part of this video, now that we're done with the GoPro stuff, is going to be talking about the new build. So I'm going to go over some stuff now and get it out of the way so we're not taking up time during the build and unboxing to kind of discuss it, though I probably will discuss it anyway. So it'll make more sense in some cases, for like a visual sort of reference. First, let's go over the, what I'm actually going to be using in my build. It's going to be a huge build. Definitely overkill for gaming, so if you're looking to build a gaming system, don't mimic mine because you're going to be wasting money. Mine's going to be for gaming, but also Dogecoin mining and, rendering video and editing and modeling and, that kind of stuff. So it's not going to be just for gaming. So with that said, here's my build list right now. I got in a nice little chart form here in Excel with some coloring and things. So red means that I haven't gotten it yet. Yellow means that it's shipping. on its way here. I actually need to update this because I got some stuff today. So for 13, 2015, 7. What else did I get? I got my Corsair today too. This one's supposed to come till later in this week, so that was an interesting thing. Though my heat killer that got delivered on Saturday, I didn't change that. My heat killer GPU water blocks are supposed to get delivered today, but nobody was here to sign for them because aqua tuning requires you to sign for stuff. And so I'll have to wait for... I'll have to go get them tomorrow. Get them deliver them to a UPS place near where I work at, so I can just pick them up after work or during lunch or something. 2015. 7 on these as well. 777. Got my case today too. Let's change these to good. Then do everything here. Sort, filter, custom sort on priority. Alright, there we go. Well, that's not right. There's more than 9 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Should be 10 undelivered. But I'm counting 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, that makes sense then. Just put to 40. I mean, just cover all the area here. It's still showing up as not right though. It's interesting. Oh, yeah. That's also why we gotta do the other part of this. Such an annoying thing working with this. Never have to modify. I've actually been adding stuff in as I've gone along and realized, well, I need this. So there might be a couple of glaring things you're noticing already with this build. I'll explain them in a bit. Such as, you know, the Windows 8.1 up there. There's a good reason for that, and you'll find out in a second. So, this is my total build cost. Yep, just under $6,000. It'll actually, that's without shipping costs. It's actually gonna be over $6,000. So I'm gonna be using a i5960X. So that's the 8-core Haswell E. Asus X99 Deluxe, 32 gigabytes of Dominator Platinum RAM, 2666 megahertz. A Samsung 850 EVO 1 terabyte SSD. I may be changing to something else that's a little bit cheaper, maybe a Crucial or something like that. And also I'll be upgrading to a second one of these, whichever ones I get later on, for a little extra space. That way I can leave a drive in my current system, probably my Deskstar Hitachi, it's 500 gigabyte drive, for dealing, you know, handling the blockchains for Dogecoin, Kitacoin, and Flappy Coin. I don't think I'll be using the other two as much as Dogecoin. Then yeah, two Sapphire 48, two Sapphire, I would say 40 somethings, 290Xs. again, I'll explain some more on this later on. Going with the 4GB model because I couldn't find any. They didn't have the Vapor X's available on Amazon when I was playing this, and I've since already ordered the GPU cooler, so pretty much locked with that now. I would have gone with the 8GB if they would have had them with the Vapor coolers because they're a little bit different on the build, PCB build. But since I already got the coolers, so well, I'll bite the bullet for now. Going to be going with getting a new monitor too, because my current one's been giving me crap for the last couple days, weeks, actually months. Going to be doing a BenQ XL2730Z. It's going to be, I think it's our first monitor with FreeSync. Also a 144 Hz monitor. It's going to be 27 inches. My current one's 24. It's a little bit of an upgrade. I can't go much larger than that though because it won't fit inside of my monitor thing here. Going to be using a fully custom water cooling loop. No pre-built stuff anymore. No Corsair stuff. No thermal take or anything like that. I'm using a SwiftTech D5 pump. Mayhem's pastel white for the coolant mix-in, and the EK Asus X99 MOSFET block. Getting this because the MOSFETs on the X99 are going to be just, screaming hot because of the powers going into the processor, as well as dealing with the RAM handling and all that stuff. Also, the Supremacy EVO, doing nickel with the water block there. All of my water blocks are nickel, and so are the fittings, and I'll talk about that later on. Got the EKX Top D5 Plexi acrylic pump top for the D5, and I'm going to be changing my thermal paste for this build. I'm going to be using the Gellet GC Extreme. I was looking at a list of pastes for 2015, and Gellet was, essentially listed as near the top. I think the other thing that beat it out was the Cool Labs liquid metal, and I don't want to be using that stuff. So that's like, almost a permanent kind of solution there. So another interesting fact is that the paste you get with the EVO, Supremacy EVO water block is actually Gellet GC Extreme 2. So I have 2 tubes of this now, which is awesome because I didn't realize that it came with that. So that's going to help if I need to do a couple attempts at pasting for the graphics cards. Going to be going with the newer Phantom case. I think I'm just going to be sticking with Phantoms from now on. NZXT has a very awesome case design for the Phantom. The 820 actually is a lot bigger. Well, it's bigger in some ways and not in others. It doesn't have the same depth as the original Phantom case that I have, but it has more height and more width to it. Also has custom lighting on it as well, so it gets you closer to that Alienware. What the hell? They're supposed to hide. Style case without paying, $1,000 just for the case. And then the Corsair 2000i. Funny, interesting thing about this is that under full load, if I was overclocking my CPU, the CPU to 3.8 gigahertz, which I don't think I'll need to do, I'll probably leave it at stock, at least for the moment, is that I'm almost would almost be running a red line with the 200i. It's almost not big enough for this system. And I mean, if you go back 6 years, the thought of hearing somebody say 1200 watts is not enough, it'd be almost impossible. But this system is going to be a power hog, especially with the these fans here. They don't pull too much, but they pull enough to cause an issue, a little bit of an issue. Like it was like 25-30 watts just for these 3. That costs a 144 Viper PWM fans. Going for these because of their static pressure, and we'll talk about that as well. I'm not sure about this. I'll have to figure it out. I was originally going to be getting a lot of this stuff from Frozen CPU, the water cooling stuff. But then I found out that Frozen CPU is going bankrupt or closing down or something, so their website doesn't allow you to place orders, but you can still kind of go through and see what's there. I'll have to see if I can find this on Amazon or something. Aqua Tuning didn't have it. I heard about Aqua Tuning from Jay's 2 Cents. He's a YouTuber that has a channel pretty much devoted to PC building, hardware reviews, and water cooling kind of information. Really would suggest you go check it out on his channel. He's also partnered up with Barnacle, is doing some videos with him, with Jerry, so it can get pretty hilarious at times. But yeah, so he turned me on to Aqua Tuning. He gets a lot of his stuff from there, and literally they're probably the only. Well, I've looked for water cooling websites that are based in the USA, and they just don't seem to exist. Frozen CPU was even in the UK or something, because all their values were based on euros. So there is going to be that you have to deal with. Aqua Tuning also has a thing where you have to have at least $75 worth of merchandise before you can place an order. And that should be yes, not no. And they require sign-off on all the deliveries, at least so far that I've found. So that could be another issue there. But other than that, they have some pretty nice deals. For example, these compression fittings I'm getting, they essentially have a deal where you take about 10% off or something like that for a certain number of them. And before, with that, if I was just going at their normal price, it would have been like almost $200 just for these compression fittings, but take that off and it's a pretty good price, actually. Much lower than some of the other places. So yeah, I'm going to be using essentially what this equals out to is 3/8 inner diameter, 5/8 outer diameter tubing and parts. That's about the best flow rate you can get with the from the tubing in terms of the size. G1/4 threading for everything else. Yes, I'm getting a hose cutter just because I figured, well, maybe I'll try and make a thing of this and maybe do some custom builds for people or something like that in the future, and that might come in handy, or just because I'm going to be doing a lot of water cooling work on this one and also on this current computer. After a while, I'm going to be transitioning this to a custom water loop as well, and I'll talk about what that's going to entail in a little bit here. So we got the mini valve here for easy flushing of the system. Going to be using the Bits Power Water Tank Z Multi 250 inline cylindrical reservoir. I'm going to have two radiators. The first one's going to be a single Alpha Cool Nexus 140 mil radiator. The other one's going to be the same thing except a dual 140. And I'll talk about how I'm going to have my loop set up later on. What else is there to talk about? I'm going to be getting some stuff to help filling the whole system be a little bit easier. Getting a Phobia funnel, filling funnel that has actually a fitting on the end of it. So you put a G1/4 on the end of a tube, piece of tubing, and then you can kind of get a male-to-male extender and then hook it up with this tube filling funnel, and you just pour it right in there. Kind of reduces the hassle a bit. And what else is there? Some angle adapters. Kilowatt. Finally got a kilowatt. Been meaning to get one, and I'm going to be using it to kind of gauge how much power this system is sucking up. I've already done some testing with it, and I'm going to be doing that to figure out how much power this thing is draining, so I get an idea of exactly how much power I'm going to be draining with the new system. Because the values I have are from that calculator, extreme PSU calculator thing. So I'm not sure how accurate it is. I think it's more just like a guideline or an estimation. So this system I've had for a couple of years now, and it's got a 4X or an Ultra 4X power supply in it. About the same quality build as the 1200i from Corsair. So within a little bit of a margin, the quality of the PSU, this PSU now, should be kind of a approximation of what the Corsair 1200 is going to be after the same amount of time. I've been running the system since 2012, so it's about 3 years nonstop. So the capacitor degradation, things like that, we'll be able to figure out how much power it's drawing right now. Also got a PSU tester. Actually, that should be green. What did I move down here? I moved something down here I shouldn't have. Or did I? No, I guess I didn't. I just didn't move this down when I should have. Alright, well, let's do that. Actually, that would have been 11, yeah. 7, then turn this green. Ah, I'm on the wrong one. No, that was the right. No, it was the wrong one. Good. And that will be 6 still, and this will be 7. Then again, we'll just do this real quick. I should do it automatically, but it won't. Okay, so that's a little better there. So I still got about just over 4,000 worth of parts to get. So let's talk about a couple things. First, let's start with how I'm actually going to have my loop set up. Let's go to nzxt.com. Meet Cam Ultimate Companion for a PC. What the hell? Variable speed liquid cooler. No, it's not the first. What the hell? Maybe the first, custom built. No, even that's not true, because Corsair H100, H series has been variable all the time. So what is this cam PC monitoring software? Okay. That was like a web camera or something. So anyway, products, cases, Phantom, and the 820. Let's get a look at the inside here. Okay. So here's how the loop is going to go. I'll probably take out this bottom section here, maybe this one here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do is I want to put the 140 the single 140 here and the dual up here, and then maybe in the future add another radiator here or something. I don't know. That might be a little bit overkill. But yeah, so obviously we'll have the PSU here, motherboard. I'm only going to have the 1TB SSD inside of the case. Everything else is going to be done through that StarTech thing you saw in the video that was using to show off the GoPro software. I've got a total of 9 terabytes of drive space on this thing right now. I've got a 1 terabyte drive from no, not 8.5. Got a 500 gigabyte drive from Seagate, a 2 terabyte drive from Western Digital, 2 terabyte green, then a 6 terabyte green from Western Digital. So that'll be where all my main storage is at. But I'm thinking about going with another terabyte SSD for actually being able to put everything I need in those two drives, and then have this storage that's outside of it, these external SATA drives, just have them be for like storage or backups or whatnot. Not actually use them for like storing Steam games or whatever, so we get the faster loading speeds. So we'll have that motherboard, obviously. So we'll have the pump down here. The reservoir will sit up here. While the dual 140 up here with 2 fans and a pull. Well, it'll be a pull from the outside of the case. It'll be pushing air into the case. And I'll be doing the same thing here with this fan. The radiator will essentially be sitting on the inside here. I'll be pulling air in from the outside through the radiator into the case. And then what I might do is take the fan down here, remove this drive bay here, and take this fan that's over here in front, flip it around so it's exhausting. So we bring air in here and here, and then exhaust it through here. That's not really probably very efficient though, because heat rises, so it'll be evacuating the cool air, but at the same time we're bringing in cool air from two sides, so I think that's going to keep the air fairly at a stable temperature, so there won't be any hot and cold differences within the case, depending on whether it's up here or down here. So we shouldn't be expelling the cold air, and it wouldn't matter anyway because the air that's in the case isn't being used for anything. It's just, besides, heating up the motherboard or something, because everything is off of water cooling now, no air cooling whatsoever. I wanted to do this water cooling for my current build, but I just didn't have the money and didn't want to, mess around with the GPU blocks. And now I've decided that I'm gonna go ahead and try it and see what happens. So yeah, the loop will start over here. We'll have the reservoir and the pump. It'll come out of the reservoir into a Y connector, optical Y connector. One side of it will be connected into a valve that will allow flushing and things, easy flushing. The other one will go off into my first GPU card, then into the second one. Then it will go from there into the 140. From there it'll go into the CPU water block, then into the dual 140. From there it'll go into the MOSFETs and MOSFET block, and then it'll go back into the reservoir. Now the reason I'm doing this for, even though it really, it's debatable whether it matters or not. I'm not sure if it depends on the fans they're using and how the blocks are set up in relation to the radiators, but pretty much I'll use Jay's take on this, and that is that it doesn't matter how many radiators you have or how many pumps, yes, and fans you have. Pretty much the entire temperature of your loop is going to be consistent over the entire surface area of the loop. So, liquid that's down in here is going to be the same temperature as liquid that's just gone through your graphics cards. Now, it's a debated topic because it's not really we'll say science behind it's never really actually been fully tested or explained or looked at, but it's just conventional wisdom with how fluid dynamics works, along with how heat disperses or is conducted into or condensed or dissipated into water, and dealing with the smallish size of the loop, the fact that there's lower temperatures than, say, like a car, and the speed at which the water is flowing, all make it so that the entire loop is pretty much going to be a stable temperature. Although it won't be that way initially. It'll take some while to settle through, for the temperature to settle throughout the entire loop to average out. So, though, my reasoning behind the loop, though, is because, when we come out of the GPUs, I just want to put this here because it will take off a little bit of the heat. Then go into the CPU. Then up here the dual 140s, because the CPU is going to be generating a lot of heat. And again, it's going to be taking off some of that heat. And then the reason I want to do that before the MOSFETs is because the MOSFETs will also be having a lot of heat. And I want to try and get it so that the heat doesn't compound on top of each other, because while it may not be what actually happens, what I would think would happen is if you have a lot of high-powered components strung along together, right, like from GPU into CPU into like the MOSFETs, the heat that you would have in the water, being contained in the water, would be a little bit, compound a little bit on top of each other. So you get some heat in here, you get some more heat in here, and then more heat in here. And so the efficiency of the water conducting or dissipating the heat on those particular components would be lessened as each component you go through. Now, that's may not necessarily be true, but that's just what I would think would happen. But even if that isn't what happens, I think it'd be better to do it that way just because it's a better flow, I think. Better flow for the tubing. So yeah, into here, through here, into here, into here, into here, into here. Then this will go back into the reservoir through it'll essentially connect to a 90-degree angle fitting we'll have here. That'll fit into there. I'll have another 90-degree angle fitting here that'll come out and connect to a tube that can then hook up to the funnel for filling. That's going to be how my loop's going to go. So let's talk about some stuff about water cooling and fans and whatnot. Where to start? Well, I guess we'll talk about fitting metal types. An important thing when you're dealing with fittings and blocks and whatnot is the fact that you want to try to not mix dissimilar types of metals. I'm not really sure. Can't really remember what it was that's in them. Maybe it was their conductivity, I think. And the further away your metals are in your loop and conductivity from each other, the more YOLOing it you are. Because it could become a problem in the future, or it will become a problem if you use certain things in the loop. So, for example, the reason that suggested that you flush the loop every so often, 3 to 6 months, is because as time goes on, your water blocks are going to start flaking a little bit, and the little microscopic pieces of metal will start building up in your fluid in your loop. And eventually, even if the water is non-conductive to start with, it will become conductive over time, because it'll have this metal in there. And if there's like a leak or something, then, game over. So it's important to, one, flush the loop every once in a while, and then also have similar metals, if not the same type of metals, for all your stuff. Fitting is included. Also, if you're using certain types of metals, a kill coil, which is a silver coil that's used for as a biocide, is a big no. Like, for example, if you have any aluminum in your loop, using a kill coil is going to kill your loop instead of killing the potential biological agents that could infest your loop. And also when you're using certain products, like, for example, I'm not sure they fixed it or not, but EK had this massive issue where silver anywhere in the loop would cause a lot of damage to the water blocks. They may have fixed it since then, but really using a kill coil is more trouble than it's worth when you have much safer alternatives like MAM's pastel concentrates and whatnot, which have biocides and anti-corrosives baked into them, if you will. No need to use a kill coil or anything. Just put this in your loop and you'll be fine. Though as time goes on, the pastels will build up a little bit in your system, because essentially what this is you're essentially having little micro particles of things that are in the loop that are essentially giving them the coloring, and they will build up a little bit over time, and that's also why you want to flush the loop as well if you're using any kind of additive to the loop. You could use PT Nuke if you wanted to. That would be the least I guess a weighty alternative, if you will, to a kill coil. Because essentially what happens is that the more stuff you put into the distilled water, the harder it is going to be for water to move through your loop. So you want to have the least amount of resistance possible in terms of what's in your water and what's going to be, if it could cause some sort of slowdown. Mayhems will do cause a little bit of pressure, but not so much as putting in a bunch of extraneous chemicals to deal with things, or putting antifreeze in your loop or something. You can do that, put antifreeze in, but not really suggested, because it's somewhat corrosive to plastics and acrylic and stuff. Well, at least acrylic. Over time, we'll eat that away. So yeah, those are your choices for dealing with the liquid in the pumps, or in your loops, and talking about the metals and whatnot. What else is there? When you're planning out your loop, you want to make sure you use the smallest runs possible. In other words, a run is essentially the amount of tubing you're using from one fitting to another. That's a run. The smaller your runs, the less chances you'll have for kinking, and the faster the loop will be able to circulate. There won't be as much distance to travel. If at all possible, I suggest doing all right angle kind of things like Singularity does on his builds, but that's kind of costly because you need a lot more parts, and it's a lot more of a complicated build. Not really for first-time custom water cooling loop builders such as myself. So let's talk about fans. There's two main things that two main attributes or specs that you want to look at in fans, and that is your case flow CFM, essentially the amount of air that the fan can push through, and static pressure, which is the amount of air the fan can push through when it's right up against something. For just cooling your case, CFM is king, so the highest CFM you can get is the best. For water cooling, in terms of radiators, you want high static pressure. CFM really doesn't matter that much in this case, though if you can get something that's a bit of both, that'd be good too. But the higher the static pressure, the better, because you'll be able to push air through that, the fin to the lattice kind of structure of the radiator is much easier than not. So that's why I'm getting the Akasa 144mm Vipers. Their static pressure is 3.12, I believe, mmH2O, which doesn't really mean anything in particular. You also have a pretty good CFM too. These are definitely better than the crappy Corsair SP series fans, but they're a little bit more expensive and take a little bit more power to run too. So I'll be having 3 of those, one for the single 140 and 2 for the dual 140. I'm only going to be using those for radiator fans, and they're all going to be pushing air through the radiator from the outside air. So I guess we're going to talk about case pressures now. So there's essentially 3 modes of case pressure: static, neutral, or not static, positive, neutral, and negative. So positive pressure is when you are pushing more air into the case than what you're pushing out. So it's positive intake. Neutral is where you have equal amount of intake and outflow, but that's really hard to achieve. And then you have negative, which is more outflow than intake. For water cooling, really, the best case pressure is positive, because you want to be blowing air into your case. You want to bring in cool air from the outside into your case, rather than blowing air from inside your case out through the radiators, because the air in your case, especially if you have air-cooled graphics cards or something, is going to be a lot warmer than the air outside. I think that's one negative point to my current build, is that I'm pushing air from in the case through the radiator out. So I'm using hot air from in the case to try and cool down the radiator, which is also hot. So you're not getting the same level of heat dissipation in my system right now as I could. However, there's a downside to that, and that's dust. A positive case pressure means that you're going to be bringing in air from the outside, and it's going to be bringing in dust with it. However, if you use a filter, you're going to be decreasing the various statistics of the various fans, either the airflow or the static pressure, because it has an extra bit of stuff to go through. It may not matter as much for the static pressure fans because they're made to be made to push air through really kind of hard to get through spaces, but for the CFM fans, space airflow fans, that filter is going to cause a lot of disruption to them. Another reason why you shouldn't go negative on the pressure is because what will happen is that you'll be pulling air in through all the places where you have spaces like from I/O ports and the expansion slots and whatnot. And again, lots of dust is coming through there because you don't have any filters on that stuff. With the positive flow, you'll be going out through those areas because you'll be putting more air in than you're exhausting, so the air has to go somewhere. So if you do decide to use filters on the fans, then you'll have a little bit less dust to worry about. Let's see what else. I wanted to go water cooling on the RAM too. It doesn't really matter. Well, I guess it matters a little bit with the Dominator because Corsair claims that in order to get over 2400 megahertz with any of the Dominator Platinum RAM, DDR4 RAM, you have to have them water cooled. That's just what they're saying. I'm not sure if it's true or just bullcrap. But they're saying that you need to have it water cooled. However, at the same time, let's say extra cooling. I don't know if they mean water cooling specifically, but at the same time, these RAM sticks will not work with the EK Monarch series anymore. I think that's what the latest ones were. Because the heat spreader that's on them, that was detachable as bolted on the previous models, DDR3 Dominator, is now actually built into the actual top of the chip itself, so you have to kind of deconstruct it a bit to get that off of there. So it's not really worth it anymore, and it doesn't really work properly anyway. So that's a downside to the new RAM. Though the Dominator does have a couple advantages besides being DDR4. There's a cosmetic positive in terms of the light strip that's on it now. You can essentially has like a light strip on the bottom that will light up the RAM when you put it in. However, the LEDs that make up the light strip are not changeable, or at least not yet. And Corsair is saying that they'll have different color light strips you can buy to switch them out with. The RAM will be compatible or will be able to be used with Corsair Link. So there's that. See what else is there. Trying to think of any other thing we can talk about. I think the rest I'll probably just go over during the build because that's when that stuff will come up. So, thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below in the comments section. And if you haven't done so already, we'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. And be on the lookout for the first of the build videos that'll be coming up here pretty soon. Oh wait, let's talk about Windows 8. I entirely forgot about that. So, I promised myself when Windows 8 came out that I would never, ever use it. However, I'm going to be breaking that promise to myself because of one particular reason. It's not because I like Windows 8. I think 8.1 was any kind of fix for Windows 8. It wasn't. It was, yeah, it's like trying to repair a broken window with duct tape, essentially, is how I view Windows 8.1. Microsoft's futile attempt to try and glitter up a pig that has no chance of being made to look any better. But that said, Windows 10 is coming out in a little bit, and it's going to be released probably around June sometime, the RTM version, which is essentially the OEM version. And what Microsoft's doing for this OS is that they're actually giving you, if you have Windows 7 or 8, that includes 8.1. If you have a full license, in other words, not an OEM system builder kind of license, that you'll be able to get Windows 10 for free. And you'll have a year between when Windows 10 is released and when you'll be able to redeem that upgrade for free. And that's why I'm getting Windows 8.1 Pro. I'll install this on the new system, and then maybe 4 or so months in after Windows 10 has been released, I'll upgrade to Windows 10, because by then all the drivers and things should be out and at least somewhat debugged, so I'm not going to be having my system crash all the time. But I still it'd be better to do this because, one, my system builder Windows 7 isn't eligible for the upgrade, and two, if I didn't get an operating system, I have to wait for Windows 10 to come out, and they may not release the system builder version on the June release, and I'd have to wait longer than that. And really, I need to get this system built pretty soon, because this my current system, well, it's still holding up. This monitor is starting to really go out fast, and I want to make sure that I can get it dealt with before the monitor decides to up and just totally die on me. So quite a bit of stuff to get yet, though. A lot of high price items: the monitor, the RAM, the CPU, the graphics cards, really the bigger ones. Whereas like the motherboard and the SSD are not too high on there. Still a couple of other lower line item things as well. The cost of the processor actually been coming down pretty well. When I first added this list last week, it was actually 1,036 something cents. It's down to 9,999, so basically 1,000 now. The RAM came down 30% in price. It was originally like 950 something. Now it's 609. Started out as a price drop and then was made permanent. The price of this actually went up though. So same thing with the monitor, because the Amazon Prime affiliated seller that was selling this monitor originally ran out, I guess, and now I'm on somebody else's. Somebody else has it up there. It's a little more expensive. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming. Still got a couple things to get. Got a couple things here. I'm probably looking at starting the build between 2 to 3 weeks from now. So probably like the end of April, early May. So about the same time I was starting to build my current system back in 2012. So be on the lookout for the videos that'll be coming up. I'll start with the unboxings first, and then we'll go into the build. I may or may not do a full kind of commentary on the build like I did last time. I'll probably do more of a full commentary type of thing on the water cooling part, because that's not been I haven't covered that yet. Whereas I would have covered stuff like bottlenecking and talking about, actually building a PC from scratch from parts in the previous build. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. But that's gonna be it. Be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on our latest videos and whatnot, and I will see you next time.